Welcome aboard. You're just on time, and look no further, you're in the right place. The Umbrella Show with me, Dalila Hamza, in Al-Shifaa Online TV. As usual, every Monday we bring you special guests in the studio to discuss matters that revolve around our society. Today under the umbrella we have a guest, and who is a director of Reach Out Center. He has 15 years of experience, and he's going to tell us more of what happens in the rehabilitation centers. Remember that the show is the Umbrella Show with me, Dalila Hamza, and the topic of today being the cycle of the drug addicts. I welcome my guest of the day, who is Taib Abdurrahman. Taib, thank you very much for making it in the studio.
Thank you.
How is everything?
Alhamdulillah, going on well, trying our level best.
There you had it. There is Taib, the director of Reach Out Center. Taib, let's talk about the journey of you having 15 good years. That's almost a decade in this field. How was your journey in Reach Out Center?
Thank you very much. I think it started way back in 2003 when we were still doing our studies, and we realized 2001 to 2003 it was a very bad moment within the coastal region, being specific in Mombasa, and also where I grew up in Majengo. It's an order of the day to use drugs and the transactions of drugs. So we didn't know much about this problem. So we realized that people are going into using, and there's no treatment, there's no service, there's no one talking to people who use drugs. So the best options people can do at that time is to be able to incarcerate, take them to prison, take them to police station, and the good that you can do is take them to mental units. And these are people, these are human beings, these are our brothers and sisters who really need to get support in terms of drug dependency treatment, and also support in terms of counseling and rehabilitation. So I think this was not clicking in the minds of people at that time. So in 2004 I met this gentleman who is a late Murad Assad now, and we started interacting, and we realized about this situation, because literally we know that these people are undergoing a lot of challenges within life. We thought maybe this is something that people have chosen to live with or use and everything, but the issues of drug and substance abuse and addiction is a whole system which needs a holistic approach in terms of helping it. So we interacted with the gentleman, and he started teaching us literally on how can we be able to do prevention messages, how can we be able to use kids to direct people into awareness, and also for those who need treatment. He also initiated the first treatment centers in the country to be able to engage people through the process of rehabilitation. So after that, that was the peak in terms of understanding, and also the turning point was a very good friend of mine we've schooled with in primary, and he was hooked into drugs, but we didn't know about the situation and how it has really affected him. After finishing high school, went to college, to university, I realized this brother of mine has really changed. The last time I met him was really deteriorated. He has nothing. He will borrow 50 shillings, 100 shillings. And one of the very fine morning around the areas of Mambetari, he was beaten to death. So that was a turning point for me, that this is an individual very close to me. We don't know about his whereabouts. No one has sat down to talk to him. So it really ate my mind as we were doing the burial and everything. Where did we go wrong as a society? Because when you look into the issues of drug and substance abuse, and the whole narrative of it has not been unpacked, and the school of thought of people is like, these people needs to be incarcerated. This is just a choice people have chosen to be, and they really need to come out of it by taking them to mental units, taking them to police station, to prison. But it was not working. People will be incarcerated 5 years, 2 years, to 6 months. They will come back to the community. Then they will use. Someone has escaped that mob justice, another one. And tomorrow he is going on using, he's going on with petty offense. So there must be something wrong.
So there is a need.
The reason, and there is a need, and there is a reason for people to sit down and engage them. And this person brought in a lot of reason to me, and also to the community that you are coming from, because people who have formed squads to beat them around, to take them out of the community, mob justice, and taking the rule in their hand to be able to beat them to death. So we realize that we really need to have a conversation. We really need to have the narrative change in terms of understanding. So that was the turning point to me, to be able to understand. And having no treatment center, having no space people can talk about these issues. Parents are suffering at home. They cannot even sit down with their offspring and engaging them. What is happening? So the need was there. So in 2004-05, we did a very big research with Professor Ndete in Nairobi, ourselves in Mombasa, and we did a serological testing just to see the numbers that we have. What is the impact within the health conditions? So we realized 50% of those who were engaging them, almost 49% were HIV positive, and hepatitis was around 75%. So this was an alarming situation. At that time, 2005, when little was known, but the HIV prevalence was big. The numbers were not known, exact numbers, because the denominator was not known, and government was also not paying attention to these needs of this population. So we started the movement of now doing the prevention, doing the awareness, engaging community in schools, out of schools, creating tournament, just to create that space for these people to have. So in 2005, we started the first program. After 2003, doing the rehabilitation, we started now the first program in reaching out to them. That is now where we call it harm reduction, where you can be able to reach out to the community, sit down to people who use drugs, sit down with the community outside there to engage them. What are the challenges? Where do you take people when they have this problem? When you have someone who is diabetic, where do you take them? To prison or to police station? No, you give them treatment, the same. So the addiction is a disease and it needs treatment. It needs proper follow-up. It needs an opportunity for people to sit in and work their challenges together with the community to be able to come out clearly and say, these are the things that I'm facing and these are the options of me going through recovery. So we realize now the movement needs a lot of support. That's where we brought in at that time the national government with us together within this research, so that we can have evidence-based information to show us that in Mombasa, in Majengo, in Old Town, in Chuda, we have these numbers, and these numbers are suffering from this addiction. And in addition, over and above, we have hepatitis, we have TB, we have HIV, we have psychiatric problems. Some are having psychiatric problems. So these are the health conditions that we want to advocate and also give space for people to be able to understand. And that is my journey in terms of how best we can be able to look for options, create the options, and also giving that opportunity for people to go back and get a second chance in life.
Everybody deserves a second chance. If you tune in, this is the Umbrella Show. You can also send your views or questions to our guests in the studio at 0753 444 999, or you can also send your comments or questions again in all our social media sites at Al-Shifaa Online TV Kenya, and we'll be ready to give you answers from our guest. Toib, we have that taboo whereby in our society, whenever we look these drug addicts, we think that it's all about witchcraft. And instead of taking them to the proper institution, we take them to the other witch doctors or etc. This taboo, it has been there for ages and long.
Yes.
What do you think should be done to remove this kind of thought in the view mind?
Yeah, this has been a stumbling block, especially at the coastal region. I think we have it more compared to other areas or other counties, and this has to have consistently giving information, giving the factual information, sharing the evidence-based interventions that are working to show that people who are also going through this, to give their experiences to our society, because we have seen that people have been taken to witchcraft, they've been taken to spiritual awakening processes, and it has not helped them because they need treatment, they need a process to help them get better physically. Then you can be able to initiate the spiritual. We don't doubt we need spiritual support within the process, but if you go into witchcraft, bearing in mind that we'll have the opposite of it, get clean and everything, that won't work, and it has not worked. It has been tried, people have been taken. We have hundreds of people who can give their feedback into that. Even in our own situation, we've had people going into witchcraft to have their offspring, and they have seen they've wasted a lot of money. They have been following it for months and there's no change, and even the person who is trying to be helped knows and understand that this is not working, but because family wants to do that, he will abide and being able to follow. Then after that prayer or after that treatment, the person is continuing using. So we really need to be consistent in our messaging. We really need to involve the family members in understanding, giving them factual information. We also need to let the community and society understand that this is a process. It needs time, it needs resources, it needs understanding, it needs better care, like a mental health case. The way we take it to our mental unit, then someone is being followed through 6 months, a year, 4 months. So this is what needs to be done. We really need to involve people, and this is a menace for every one of us. It's not about reach out alone or type, but every one of us is affected. When we look into ourselves and we really evaluate ourselves, we find a relative is not a relative. And the viewers who are listening to us, watching us now, if you just recall where you are or where you're living, and then check within your relatives, check within your neighbors, your friends, you will find one person who is using. So if we will end up to witchcraft, we will not be doing justice to human rights, as we need to help them through access to health care and also better services within the community of people who use drugs.
Right, we've seen the hashtag support and don't punish.
Yes.
As an NGO, what did you weigh for you to come up with such a hashtag, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to congratulate you for the work you've been doing. We've been seeing in the social media. You've been very vocal in this matter, and you've been really visiting them in the field.
Yes.
Tell us more about hashtag support, don't punish. Viewer, today you're in the right hand because Tide is going to expound more on that meaning.
Sure. What we realized, and this is an international also supported through the IDPC, through other partners in harm reduction, and this is because many years people have been we've been going to witchcraft, we've been going to police stations, they've been going to prison, and what we realized that the community needs to understand in simple words that these people are human beings. The citizens of ours are also paying taxes, and these citizens of ours have been paying taxes. They've been paying everything that we pay in the society. So what we really need to, and they are citizens, and they are also coming from families. They are not just coming from the zoo or anywhere. So within this, they need that unconditional positive regard. They need it. They really need support. They really need to be people to be empathetic in terms of supporting them, and also to understand that if it's not you today, you can be your relative tomorrow.
Precisely.
So support don't punish is a message that we've started. The campaign, it has started almost 10 years now, to be able to every year within the June 26th is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. So that is when the process or the initiative was started, to be able to educate the community that people who use drugs, people who are affected by drugs, family members, people have disowned parents because they have drug users. They have not been given their inheritance because of drug using. So why don't we support them rather than punishing them? And this is also creating the space of people accepting the challenge in terms of this is a burden to our family. It is not to a community alone. So if you take it positively, you can be able to heal. The healing process will start better. Because Dalila, we have a lot of problem when we do the rehabilitation. After 2 months, 3 months, someone will tell you, please, can you keep him again for the next 3 months?
Actually, that there's a tendency,
they're throwing them away. They don't want to take that responsibility. So this hashtag is to be able to make it equal to all of us, to be able to understand that the issues of the challenges that we are facing, we are all together in it. So that if we can be able to support them, we can be able to give them an enabling environment rather than punishing them, because that is a vicious cycle. You punish, you beat, you take them to prison, they go out, they use again, they'll go in.
It's a cycle.
And how many years will you be living into that? And coming to now mob justice, how many people you have buried within the issues of being beaten because of a side mirror, because of a mobile phone worth 1,000 shillings, because of maybe clothes who have been washed in at home, when those things, if you calculate in value of money with the human being, you cannot even have a value to that. So that is what we started, and this year also we've also integrated it to our media award theme, that we've said we need to have that theme going higher to be able to give people on online TV, newsprint, radio, to highlight these issues that are suffering, or the suffering that you're going through, issues in terms of health, policy, in terms of entertainment, in terms of businesses. How can we be able to have that movement? And we're having this next month but one to be able now to highlight more. But we are putting this also on social media to start the campaign in terms of even to be a household name, to have that meaning to people, to be able to understand, if I have a brother, I need to welcome him home, not to just close doors and say, don't even come at home. Do you know how much time they or where do they sleep? What do they inject? How do they inject? How do they mix these things? So we end up having people who are HIV positive, hepatitis, and if we can be able to manage drug use, we will also prevent the other infections, so that we can have people living at home, people accepted at home. You know, we have people who are outside home for 5 years, and parents are the last people to know that their offspring are using. It will take a year or two to accept that we have a problem. Now you have accepted that we have a problem, and then you don't want to own the problem. You leave it to the community to deal with it.
Let's talk about the involvement of a person health-wise and physically when they're in the rehabilitation center.
Sure.
How is their journey like?
It's not easy, Dalila, when you've used heroin for like 5 years or 10 years. Then you tell me today, stop using. We'll just close this door or this studio, and you'll be in here. We'll have the withdrawals. I will start vomiting. I'll have body pains. So all these things needs to be assessed. So before enrolling into the program or rehabilitation, we have a clinical assessment process. We'll interview you. We will do motivational interviewing, cognitive therapy, support family sessions, so that we can know, Taibo, Dadila, this is what you are going through, and this will come from you. I'm not telling you. We will not say we have malaria or what, because addiction needs to be processed slowly.
It's a process.
So it's a process. So recovery is a process, and it's a journey. So we started that before enrolling into the program, because you'll be able to integrate or interact with us. We'll know where you're living, which area you're coming from, how many are you in the family, how is your family taking you off, is it supportive, indifferent, or they don't care about you, or they have no time with you. So we deal with that individual or with our brother or sister first for some few sessions, 3, 4, 5 sessions, then we call in the family. We want also to understand what is their perception, because the person type will change, but I will not have any environment to go back. I will not be welcome at home because I've spoiled 16 years, 10 years, 5 years of my life stealing, conning, lying. So who will open up their doors? So we want to have that healing, because what we believe, I believe in 3 things. To help that individual, we really need to work in their mind, their soul and their body. So in the mind, in the body first, we really need to have the detoxification process. We really need to know physically how is he, how are the pains coming along, how are the withdrawals coming along. Is he vomiting? Is he yawning? Is he having constriction of the eyes? We know on the body part. Then the mind now is the behavioral approach, the treatment, the rehabilitation. Give them space for them to work on their mind properly, the behavior change approach. Then the soul that comes in the spiritual part, so that you can be able to understand now, I've gone wrong here. I need to repent. I need to ask for forgiveness. That is where now we'll heal now all those parts, the body, mind and soul. And this is basically our principle, is the willingness of the individual, because we don't want to force you, to force myself to start telling you that you need to go into treatment, but we help you within those sessions to be able for you to realize that I need help. It's time. This is my peak. This is my rock bottom. This is where I have gone down. This is where I have deteriorated. So when they own that process, it has more meaning rather than having a family saying, incarcerate him, take him to rehab, I'll pay anything, just close him down, don't let him escape. We cannot do that. The counselors who are sleeping there are human beings. It's me. I've been there. I've worked in an inpatient program for 5 years. I've been sleeping there from Monday to Friday. Saturday, get out, I have 1 day off, I return back again. So imagine having that life, and this individual is there and you want to lock him out without any communication, without knowing that he'll be accepted at home or not. So that process it's hard, but if you can be able to do it in bits and pieces, even the individual will feel good, because you're not bombarding with more information. We are not asking a lot from him. We want him to explore. We want him to evaluate. We want him to monitor the process and understand the treatment plan.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
Let's also talk about the age bracket that you get. Tell us the age bracket of women and men. How many people do you get per day?
Sure.
How do you handle per annual?
What we normally do, we have a drop-in center in Old Town. We work in Mombasa, Kwale, key parts of Kilifi, and also Taita Taveta. So we have these offices. We call them drop-in center. These are safe spaces. Safe spaces, I mean by when you come in there, you can be able to have a counselor to talk to. You can have space just to think about. You can have space, toilets to go in and take a shower, sitting, a library. You can watch a TV or a movie or a news or anything. So we call it safe space. And this safe space is managed by a coordinator who understand the processes, and also we have outreach workers, peer educators who have gone through the problem themselves also. Now they are helping others to overcome the problem. So the number that we see every day is between 150 people
every single day.
Every single day. And this is only through the drop-in center. It fluctuates at sometimes 90, 80, 250. But when you mobilize and go out, we can reach to more people, maybe 300 to 500, because we have different hotspots that we manage. And we have employed outreach workers, peer educators who are staying in the field The age group that we have realized, which has gone down, we were working with the age group of 18-25, but now we have seen an age group going down from 14 to 18. So we have younger people who have access to cannabis, and now they have graduated into heroin, and we have now the elder age at the age of 45, 55 that have also come into contact with heroin. This age group is only for heroin users. So if we go back down to cannabis, and we'll have younger age, like we did a research and saw that Mogoka, the part of Mira that is being sold here, it's rampant anywhere. We have an age of 12 to 15 who are using Mogoka now. So when you go into cannabis, you'll have an age of 11 to 15 that are using. But with this heroin, we've seen an age of 15, 18 who are come into contact, and now they are addicted, not just socializing or just testing, but now they are hooked into heroin. They have to use to live, and they have to live to use.
So have you put a session for those who are using Mogoka in your rehab?
Yes, what we have done, we've had people who have gone, even being enrolled in Portrees because of Mogoka and Mira alone. They have not done bang, they have not done heroin, they have not injected, but only Mira.
Purely that.
Purely that, and it has taken them to Portrees. And we've worked with Portrees very well until now. We are working together. We go to there and have sessions with them, and when they feel that they have done the inpatient program well, they want now us to take through the counseling. We enroll them to our center, and they have. And also in our drop-in center, we have done session for them to make them understand, the culture that we are living into, especially the area of the coastal region, is we have accepted Mira. We have accepted Mogoka. It's cheaper than Mira now. So you can get your packet for 100 or 50, and we're okay. So imagine 50 bob with this situation. It's not little money, and it's not a lot of money. So people can afford to get. And people who are chewing for 1,200 to 2,000, and now they get a 200 thing and they're okay. They have reduced into this.
It becomes more than food.
More than food to them. So that is now the vicious cycle in this area. But of course, it's really deteriorating our young people, even the elderly, and it has caused a lot of problem within our homes, within our social life, within our economical life, within our opportunities to explore and engage people's mind in terms of concentration, in terms of even the agitation, the anger. After using that, the second day you cannot function, your mouth is paining, you have ulcers in the mouth. So there are a lot of physical challenges we are going through, behavioral also, the behavioral change, and also now the psychological, that some of them are now hallucinating. They have to get the drug every day or every week or every Wednesday, every Saturday is common. So those are the challenges that we're facing up to now.
Thank you, TODD. If you tune in, this is the Umbrella Show with me, Dalila Hamza. You can also send your comments or questions to our guests in the studio. Remember that you're part and parcel of this conversation. It might be affecting you in one way or another. Let's discuss it over here and find solution for each and every one of us. TODD, let's take a look at the methadone. How effective is it?
Yeah. Within the drug rehabilitation and the work we did from 2003 to 2005, we started the process in 2005 until 2015. It's almost 10 years. Methadone is antagonist for heroin. It's treatment for heroin alone. So you cannot give methadone to alcoholic person or to a Mira person or to a Mogoka. It is specific for heroin treatment. And why we call it medically assisted therapy, that is methadone, because it's a prescribed medication.
Okay.
You and me, if you're hooked into heroin addiction, we cannot get the same dose It depends on how your liver is functioning and my liver is functioning and the duration of time that I've been using. Were you injecting? Was I injecting? Were you smoking? Was I smoking or snorting?
So the duration matters.
The duration matters, the mode of using matters, the quantity. You can be able to start recently, but you're using bigger quantity. I've been able to use for a long time, but I've been maintaining my doses for some time. So those are the things: age group, men, women, young people, elderly people, other opportunistic infections that you have, or the sicknesses that you have been going through. Maybe you're diabetic or non-communicable diseases. So all this will depend on how much you'll be using. So basically this, if you're using heroin, it will need you like 4 hours, 3 hours for you to use it again. If you've started recently, it needs you like 8 hours, you use it again. So this is a vicious cycle. You use every day, every hour, every 2 hours, 3 hours, as you're using more and more. But for methadone now, it's antagonist for this. It will give you more hours until you get it again. So it gives you like 24 hours until tomorrow. Half-life of methadone has a bigger time in our body. So if I can take it today, I can stay until tomorrow or day after to get it again. So that is where now when you enroll into this process, we take you through psychosocial support sessions to be able to understand, to know your health condition, so that you can have taste of your body and how much quantity of drug you have in your body, so that when it starts smaller into your body, it will be taking the doses up until we reach to a place we say it's maintenance stage. So when you do the maintenance, this is where now you won't be using heroin again. You'll be put into this medication over a year or 2 years, then slowly going down, then it will be exited from the use. Yes, your question is, it's good. How effective it is, how has it worked? It has worked very well, tremendously well, because we have seen a very big change. We used to have, and now we have almost 1,000+ people into this program. And we can say now with evidence-based intervention that it's working well. They have gone back to their families. They have been able to stay clean. They've been able to reintegrate back with their family. Some are being employed. They've started their own businesses. It's not easy within the pandemic now. For over the 6 months that we're having, but they're really trying. And we really try to make sure that the pandemic does not break through this population. We kept measures. We make sure that we had all the PPEs, the personal protective equipments, to be able to make sure that they prevent, or we prevent ourselves, because we've been interacting with a lot of people. So we were worried, but of course we managed through, and we are trying to keep the momentum. So methadone has been a success to us, because we have seen reduction of petty offenses, crimes have gone down within the situation that you're working, and also it has given them the chance for them to see themselves in another life, in another situation, in another mode, because
they've got a chance to reform.
Because they've been using heroin for 10 years. They have not gotten time to reflect, to like a simple thing, to brush their teeth, or to engage into weddings, to go into invitation, to have a meal, proper meal. So people are going back into this life slowly, and eventually coming out of methadone also.
When they go off there, the stigma still surrounds them.
Yes.
But there's this part where the relapse comes in. Toib, explain to a viewer there what causes the relapse, or if a person gets themselves in such a position, what can they do to help such a person?
Sure. First of all, the vicious cycle of using, it has been very much controlled into the drug itself. You have to wake up, get the drug, get better physically, then use again, then use it. So if you have like 5 years of using or 10 years, for example, and you want to quit now, those are the sessions that we give you up to be able to understand it's a process. And relapse is one of the processes, because we really need to anticipate. In contingency, we normally say if fire happens, if we don't have water.
In case it happens.
In case it happens, we have a session, full unit of that. We call it relapse prevention. And we have to engage the individual and tell them there are these red flags. There are these areas that you really need to. It's like if you're told now you have diabetic. You go out from the hospital, you're given a meal plan. You're given the time to use your medication. You're given what needs to be done. You're given what to do in exercises. The same way in addiction, you really need to engage and tell them, if you want to quit, if you are in the process of quitting, you don't need to go to those joints. People are smoking, inhaling, injecting, and you say confidently, now I've quitted, I can be able to sit down.
Now
here.
I'm capable.
Now I'm capable. You can't, the dopamines, the heroin works in our central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. You have will be connected to the smoking.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll go out and smoke. The body doesn't want, like the physical thing, you say, I won't go. But immediately you think about that, you'll go and do it. 9 out of 10 you'll have to do it, or 8 out of 10. It's also about when you think about sex in our mind, it comes to your head, then you eventually go and have
find yourself marching to the place.
Exactly. So relapse it's a very big stage in terms of understanding of addiction, that people needs to understand, the community, the individual, and also ourselves, because it happens spontaneously anywhere. Sometimes people dream they're smoking or they're injecting. Then they wake up being agitated, they're so frustrated, they thought they are very high. So if they cannot maintain that, they cannot talk about it. That's why we have sponsors in AA, in Narcotics Anonymous. When you feel to that, you call your counselor. This is what I felt in the morning. I felt I've been doing this. I've been thinking about that. And that feeling stays for a very short time. For a very short time. So if you can be able, remember any feeling that maybe grief, if you take it, how much time? It cannot stay for the whole day. So if you're thinking about maybe your very close person who passed away, you can be staying in the indoors and close your door the whole day, think about it. Will click your mind at that time. Even at work, you'll go mute, you'll reflect, you'll pray, you'll do anything, then you go back to work. So if you can be able to maintain that path, you can be able to prevent relapse. And also the red flags. This is where I have, this is, because they will have seemingly irrelevant decisions or ideas that will come in. They won't make sense. You want to go and visit a friend in the den. And you know where he stays, where their family are and everything. But you want to go there. Your mind is telling you will find something sweet. You will find something good there. And because of the dopamines that we have in our body and where the heroin will work, there is a connection. So if you don't get that, you'll have the withdrawal. So if you don't have a withdrawal and you've quitted for a year or 2 or 6 months, those areas are now, the brain cells are becoming normal. But that area of you having fun, me having going through grief, it's somewhere in our brain. I can give you a story which is touching to me and you can laugh. You see that? So this is how addiction is. So I can be thinking about very touching moment, then I say, this is stressful, let me go for coffee. But they don't have those coping mechanism. You have a heated debate at home, or you've tried to get into arguments, you end up smoking, drinking, and eventually going back.
So basically they don't want something that will stress them.
Yes, but those are the things that you really need to work, because stress will be there every time. That is what we teach community members and also families. It's not that they don't need to be stressed. They will incur stress. They will create stress themselves. The stress will be created to them, depression, tension, and everything. But how do you cope with that? Like now, if I'm depressed and go out from here, I go and find Mogoka. That's not a coping mechanism. I go out of here, I go to the swimming pool. I get myself 2 laps. It will end. I go to the ground, I go to maybe watch a movie, engage, or talk to a friend. Those are the coping mechanism for relapse now. Simply to know my trigger is meeting my girlfriend, for example. It reminds me of using, smoking, drinking. So you really need to know, really need to support yourself to know that this is a risk situation. How do I go about it? And if she's still using, she's still injecting or smoking and drinking, obviously, what level of information will you be discussing there? So there are a lot of things in terms of relapse prevention. It's a whole topic maybe we can do.
We will definitely call you again, Tommy, for that. But let's talk about the recovery stages of a patient, step by step. Each stage and what happens.
When now you've done the assessment, because the first place the recovery process starts is from the time you reach out to this individual or the individual reaching out to you. That is where the process starts, because you share a lot of things in the first initial stages. You go into the assessment. So the assessment process, we call it assessment, which has biopsychosocial process. You look into the issues of behavioral, biomedical, structural or intervention that this individual needs. Then that forms a treatment plan.
Okay.
So this is what you're going through. It's like when you go to a doctor, he will take some tests, do some liver functioning or malaria test, then he will tell you, I think you have 1, 2, 3, you need this and this treatment, or we'll need further treatment for this and we need other treatment. So that's a treatment plan. The same way the doctor writes a treatment plan is the same way we write it here. Okay. So this is where now the first stage reached to the second stage now of now accepting that now I have a problem.
But do you involve the family members?
Yes, of course. Then after the first initial phase is the individual first.
Oh, the individual.
Because the first contact for him, he will not accept, maybe, or he won't be able to. Maybe the family is the problem, or the family is supportive, but he's indifferent to the family. So we assess the individual and see the strength, weaknesses. Then we ask the individual, this is the time now we want to bring in family. If they don't want, we don't call them in. We give them their space.
Okay.
So, but we believe in 80% support from family, because we believe that the family members can be able to support ongoing, continuous process after the rehabilitation. So when we get family now, that's the third stage, to be able now to discuss, having developed the treatment plan. The individual say, this is what I want to do and this is what I've planned, because we are not giving the answers to them or to him. So when you share that, we will help you to vessel through this support or to this other island. So after that, it goes to the detoxification process. After the assessment, the biopsychosocial, to know all the problems, assessment, medical tests, then we enrolled, you do the first phase. We take 72 hours to 1 week, 3 days to 1 week, the detoxification. That is when the withdrawal, the pains, the vomiting, the headaches, everything, the joint pains, you manage through that. That goes through a medical process. After that, now you become slowly understanding your sleeping pattern will be odd. Maybe you'll sleep in the morning, the whole night you'll just be awake. Maybe you'll sleep for an hour or two, you're up. You have all those pains. So we take you through the detoxification. Then after that now is now the pure now counseling session. The phase of now interaction. The phase of face-to-face meeting, which is individual session, group sessions, family sessions. So we bring in back the family again. After a month, we have the family. Every month on a Sunday, we call in family therapies, where we engage in our family individual. We call them with a timetable. At 9, Dalila, you'll come in. At 10, Taib, you'll come in. At 4, at 3, you'll come in. Ted, with your brother, will come in. So we sit down with them. We now draw a pattern, a tree of their family. Who is supportive? Who is different? Who doesn't believe him? Who doesn't? That way. So we do now reconciliation. If someone has not talked to him for a month or 2 or a year, we ask them to have that forgiveness. He will write later, he will send it home, he will call. Some of them, we don't want to listen to him. I don't want even to talk to him. So until we break through, so that process of rehabilitation takes like 3 months to 4 months to be able now to interact slowly. Then we now try to do the relapse prevention and now do aftercare. When you're out, we do aftercare process that is follow-up for us. Then now you're into your life alone.
Okay, you heard it from him again. Let's talk about where your NGO gets funds from.
It's a lot of support that we get from the community. Our organization has a board which really supports us. Supporting us a lot. We have advocacy support from our Open Society Foundation. We have community-based support that we write proposal to get the support. We have support from county and national government to be able to support our program in terms of technical support trainings, which at times they need to be paid, but we are given for free to strengthen our support and partnership with our organization.
Let's talk about the challenges briefly. What are the major challenges you face?
Challenges, I can say, the community in understanding the process of addiction. It has been very hard. We are trying our level best, but some of them, it's something that people needs to accept, needs to come in properly and say. Resources are also challenging in terms of fully fledged this activity. To be able to reach everywhere, we really need resources. Policies and laws in Kenya are very restrictive. We have restriction in laws in terms of doing this work needs to have a policy support. We are only depending on the HIV support. Resources are also depending on HIV resources support, but we don't have directly for drug use. Also acceptance within different departments. There are departments which have not really coordinated well in terms of like the children, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry. So the Ministry of Health, we are working properly. But when you have the Ministry of Justice, it's saying punitive, lock them up. Administration, police, you need to get raid the dens. So they are not talking together. The laws are not supportive into that. And then challenges of now having these stages of rehabilitation, now giving them livelihoods, give them or start a business, get employment. This is something has been challenging us. You will see someone committed, very, very religiously following the program, finishing the program, then he doesn't have work. It really demoralizes.
Yes, definitely. Tell us briefly a successful story. Just one last successful story.
Yeah, we have many successful stories, but what comes to my mind is a good gentleman who has been into the program for 4 months. He has gone back to the community, got married, he has 2 children, and he's really living positively and being able to help others within their community. But there are a lot of success stories.
Thank you very much for making in the studio time. This has been the Umbrella Show. I'd like to thank the whole team of Al-Shifaa, starting with Bragan Miner, who's been behind these cameras and also directing the whole thing together with Tito, hand in hand. Make sure that you watch this episode at YouTube, in our YouTube channel at Al-Shifaa Online TV. And remember that yesterday was the International Tourism Day. And if you miss it, don't worry, we got you covered. You can also watch us at our YouTube channel in Al-Shifaa Online TV. I've been your host, Dalila Hamza. Everything that starts has an ending, but this is not the end. This is the start for new beginning. And don't actually neglect those people who are drug addicts. They're people like us. They also want us to embrace them, and change is inevitable. I leave you with a salute. Till next time.